Okay, so part two of pretty much valve clearance checks and adjustments and replacing shims and stuff like that. So the video I did yesterday was a quick overview on basically like everything that happened after you take the camshafts off and stuff like that. I'm now going to start putting new shims in, putting the camshafts on and rechecking the clearances. So hopefully you'll see me do that once the shafts are back on. I've got the feeler gauges in there with the new shims, and the clearances will be back in tolerance. So I've just bought some new shims there, which is the correct size to what I want. I've come down about 0.15mm in as high as 0.30mm on some of them, going from a 2.0 to a 170. So buckets, once the shafts and lobes are out and you've got your cam chain kind of like suspended there, you literally just get a magnet. I'm going to do these one at a time. Pull your bucket out and the shim's in there. Sometimes the shim sticks to that bit there. Just make sure you cover your spark plug hole up, because you don't want your shim dropping down in there. And then all you do is you literally get the bucket, shim out, and all got to do is one hand, and then shim just goes in the end of the magnet. And then have a look at your new shim, which is one we worked out on a drone, top inlet, left hand valve, 190, 190. So I'm just going to go through one at a time, taking the old shims out, putting the new ones in one at a time, and then we'll go through putting the cam lobes back on, or the cam shafts, getting them all lined up, getting the cover back on, and the chain holder, or the chain tension holder, whatever you want to call it, cover, and then rotate the engine a couple of times, and then just double check the clearances, put the tank back on, or put the rocker head back on, tank, fire it up, and it should be good. So hopefully nothing will go wrong. Alright, this is the last shim I'm doing. So you literally just get your new shim, put a little dab of grease just on the top there, put your shim in place, and I'll just sit flush, get your bucket, put your buckets just over, and just gently push it down in place, and then that's it. All four shims done, all valves hopefully adjusted to the right what they should be, and then you just get your shafts back on. Okay, so now the camshaft holders are back on, and the 8 bolts, or the 4 per holder, are torqued up to 21. The plan is now just to double check the timing inspection marks. We're going to hand crank the engine with a 17mm socket, one full rotation, get the timer marks lined back up, and then recheck the valve clearances. So looking at, get the pipe out of the way, timing inspection marks, if my cheap S5 phone will focus, you got RA on the exhaust, rear exhaust, and you should have RI for intake lined up with the top of the cylinder head housing there. And the lobes, camshaft lobes, valve lobes, if you want to call them, should be orientated at around about, on the intake, let's say about the 2 o'clock position, and on the exhaust about 10, 11 o'clock. So they're kind of facing towards each other. Alright, and that should be top dead centre. So what I'm going to do is now hand crank the engine. So if you just bear with me, I'm going to get a 17mm socket. I'm going to get the big ratchet, the extension, 70mm socket, come round, and then this is the cam chain tensioner thing I was talking about before. In my first video, I think I mentioned that. So I'm just going to put the 70mm socket just in there. And if you have a look, where's my toes gone? The timing inspection is RT. I'm not going to try and bother focusing on that, but it's RT. And if I hand crank the engine, anti-clockwise only, which is to the left. As your hand crank, you should as you can see, nothing's happening. So what we're going to have to do is have a look. Okay, so as you can just see from that part of the video, it kind of all went wrong. It didn't all go wrong. What happened was, what I didn't realise is that when I started hand turning the engine with the ratchet there, you could see that the lobes started to spin and then they stopped. So they kind of stopped on the actual tune. And what happened was, I didn't take the tension, so I didn't put the tension back on the chain, so I didn't ease the tensioner back onto the chain to actually tension the chain, which it should have done. So I was basically turning the engine with a loose chain, and what happened was it actually came off the bottom sprocket. Thankfully the lobes didn't get into the position where they start pushing the actual valves back down, because that would have completely messed the timing back up. So once I realised what happened was, all I had to do was then turn the engine past the rear timing mark twice for the intake, the outtake back top dead centre. And as you can see further on the video, I've put a little clip on there of the bike running after the mishap. Now what I did to rectify this was what I didn't want to go through and show you in the video, because I was panicking myself, because that was the first time this happened to me. All I did is took the rocker covers back off, I took the camshafts back out, and you could see that the chain wasn't sitting on the sprocket properly down in the bottom. So I had a cup of tea. Actually my girlfriend came over, found a long piece of metal, like thin sheet metal, and I came back from a cup of tea and she got it back on the sprocket. So my girlfriend actually fixed the bike for me, which was, you know, phenomenal. She literally just went, yep, mechanic's order, and then went back to the room. So once the chain got put back in the bottom sprocket, all the rocker covers got put back on, the head got put back on. I hand cranked the engine again properly to make sure it was working, checked the clearances, they were all in tolerance, and as you can see from this next bit, the bike's all running. But yeah, don't be put off by doing this. You know, it's as long as you're careful, and you again, it's all about them timing marks, and having a background knowledge, a basic background knowledge of each cylinder being a top dead centre, which is why I made sure I rotate the engine around another 2 times, get it back on the mark before I start the bike back up again with the shafts back in. So yeah, that's what's happened. That's why I didn't go through actually showing the process of checking the shims with the feeler gauges, because when I hand cranked that engine, as you can see, it all went wrong and it was all a mess. I got myself tied up in knots, but once it was all taken apart, chain back on, it was alright, it wasn't too bad. So yeah, listen, I hope you have enjoyed the video and it's had a bit of a laugh at my mishaps, because this is why I do the videos, to show you that you don't have to know exactly what you're doing, you don't have to get it right 100% of the times. You know, sometimes when home mechanics are doing things, it goes wrong, it just does, it happens. But this is how you learn for the next time. You fuck things up, you know, don't be scared of getting things, a bit wrong, and then it just improves your skills.